Got a doozy of a project today. See if you can see anything wrong with that. Yeah. A little bit of frame problem going on here. Same thing on the other side. She is cracked right in half. It's not a very big dump trailer. Yowza. That's cracked straight through as well. It's all the way through. So I'm going to go ahead and try to get this dump bed off of here. It's attached by a couple pivot points back here. And then I believe just one or maybe two of the main pins underneath of the scissor. I'm going to do that and get just the bottom half of the frame in the barn. I think I actually have some of this probably about 2" by 4" tubing on hand, which would be handy. But that means I'm going to have to cut all these cross members out to put in a new chunk. And even these bottom chunks down here, you can see that cracked right there. Same thing on the other side. It's folded up right there. Yikes. Pretty rough. But, yep, we'll get to it. Alright, used the tractor, lifted this bugger off of here. I don't know why, but they tack welded these hinge bolts in place and had jam nuts on there. But yeah, gonna push her in the barn now. Now you can really see how bad this is. Completely cracked all the way through. That centerpiece, you can see it's completely bent up right there and broken clean off. I don't know how this tire wasn't rubbing more. You can barely see down through there. Jeez. It actually was rubbing a little bit. See it right here. Looks like it had electric brakes at some point. Certainly doesn't now. Alright, I'll update you in a bit. Alright, when you're working on a trailer like this, the axle should be approximately 60% of the way back of the overall length. I just ran the math and we're at, I think it was 139.5 total inches in length. The axle is 44.5 from the back. That gives us 83.7 from the front. That's at 92 and some change. This is definitely a home-built jobber. That is not a professional weld. It's not even a home jobber weld. All of these welds are just total, like, geez, how in the hell like that? I mean, oh my lord. That is absolutely atrocious. But everything's like that. The tops, the bottoms, the sides. Mine aren't a whole lot better, but they're definitely better than that. But he definitely didn't count on the well, I don't know, he might have just really overloaded this trailer. I think the tubing that I have is probably the same thickness, and you can tell, like, that little block right there, how in the world is the axle supposed to have, like, why even have the springs on there? Like, that axle cannot travel up and down. I mean, it's already down about as far as it can go because it's almost at the end of its shackle. Yet the friggin' that block there stops it from going up, so it has zero ability to absorb any, it's not suspension anymore, it's just block suspension. So I don't know if I'm going to cut those out or not. It's not my trailer. I should probably talk to the owner. But I think once I redo the two side rails and these two cross rails here and right there. You can see where it just tore right through it. I mean, obviously this thing was overloaded significantly at one point. And maybe he put these blocks in here to prevent the rest of it from falling off. I don't know. Seems to me you'd want that though. But look, I mean, look at that. It is absolutely disgusting. I don't know how that's holding together. But I'm gonna cut this out of here. Just zip it with the cutoff wheel. Same thing with here. I don't even know how this guy's staying in here. There's no welds on the inside at all. It's just one little bead right here. Maybe there used to be something here. Maybe this got torn apart. Maybe it got caught on something, but the other side doesn't look any better. Yeah, I guess there is some little chunks in there, along with that little ugly thing up here. I say ugly, it's one of the best ones on here. So I'm gonna cut this, get these side rails off, the main frame rails, get these two cross member rails out, get the shackles cut off, and make sure you measure. You know, I'm gonna put this back together exactly the way it was, just in case. I don't know, maybe somebody knew something I don't, but so I'm gonna measure back from the front right here all the way back to this point right here, and the same thing on this back side, and so the front sides of the shackles. That way I can mark the new frame rails with exactly where my shackles are gonna go. And I'll probably just drop the axle right where it is. I don't know if I'm gonna try to just pull the bolts or just cut this clean off and let it sit as is. These bolts are not gonna be friendly, I guarantee that. But yeah, actually this one, there's not even a nut on there. Well, it's just a pin, I guess. 2 pins. No nut on either side. But that can just slip in and out, so I'm not worried about that side. If we pop the front off, then we can just twist it out of the back side. Either way. Alright, we'll be cutting and pasting for this video. Try to keep it shorter. Always double check your measurements. Voila! Just like that, frame rails are on the ground. Get you off the tripod here, take a quick walk around. That was a bugger. Sawzall, 2 different kinds of grinders, several grinder wheels, or cutoff wheels. She's loose. Man, this is so bad. So bad. These shackles, I don't know how this thing actually stayed together, to tell you the truth. Half the crap isn't even actually welded. Wow. Like, look at that. More than half of that isn't actually even welded. Probably gonna try to straighten out this chunk of angle iron right here. Got a wee bit of a dip in it. The rest of this angle iron frame part looks pretty good. I don't think I'm gonna have to touch that at all. I might scab in some pieces up here. You can see they shorted themselves. I cut this earlier just to get it loose. Yeah, but I might scab something in to actually join it. Same thing on this side. This side wasn't even touching. Not at all. And I'd like this to be actually on the other side. Wow, that's ugly. But we'll get it cleaned up, knock all this crud off of here, shape all the edges, grooves in there. I'll get out the the beast again. The beast grinder. But holy cow, look at that. Both sides of this. Completely shot. On both sides. Both sides of both sides. So, that's where we are. Next time you see this, probably have this all cleaned up and have the new 2" by 4" tubing cut to length. I think I have some pieces similar to this, the Z-channel stuff. I'm not 100% sure, and if I do, I don't even think it's quite long enough, but I'll double check. If I don't, I'll just use some angle iron. I got loads of that, and it'll be plenty strong enough, I think. We'll see. That's where we stand. All right, here we are a few days later. Been a busy weekend. Monday today. Got the floor buffer out. The 9" grinder wheel on it. Hopefully make light work of all these edges that we got to clean up. Same thing with the spring shackles. Get those cleaned up. Once all the welds are cleaned up, fresh prepped and ready to weld, then we'll go grab the other 2" by 4" square tubing, cut it to shape, get everything sized and cleaned and prepped, and then get it all lined up, tacked in place, tweak it, and finish it up. Wow. Kind of wonder what that was. It's the bottom of the square tubing that came off the frame rails and stuck to those mounts, those shackle mounts. Nuts. Yep, same thing. Square tubing. Jeez. That's the bottom of the frame rails. The rest of this I'll do off camera. Alright, now we're on to my least favorite part of any metal fab project. The prep work, cleaning of all of the steel. I mean, this is going to be on the bottom side of a trailer, so I'm going to have to put some paint on it. Which I don't really like dealing with that, but it's, you know, it is what it is with this one. It's going to need it, so I got to get the bulk of this crud off of here. If you're using any sort of grinder with a wire wheel on it like that, make sure you're wearing glasses. You can handle I end up with these little strands in my clothes, shirts. I've had them stick in my skin before. Definitely don't want one of them coming upwards. And onward we go. Let's scoot this a little closer. I really don't like breathing this stuff either. Yeah, by far my least favorite part, but we got the 4 pieces all cleaned up. At least clean enough. Good enough that paint will stick to it and I can weld it. But it's after 6, and I'm tired. I'm tired of holding the grinder for today. Pretty much got everything cleaned up in here, at least the grinding. I'll come in with a flap disc, and there's a few spots like this guy here. It needs a little bit more work, but not a lot. You know, I'll brush up right in here, and same thing on the bottom, just to kind of clean up a little bit. But pretty much everything. I know that sun is kind of screwing with me here. Got all the shackles cleaned up, both sides, and I'm gonna call it a night. I'll get out here first thing tomorrow and get the pieces in position, square, get some tacks on here, get some measuring done, and then hopefully get the reassembly going. That's it for tonight. Just using a smaller grinder with a flat disc to clean up a couple little spots here before we start clamping everything in place. Alright, now we're going to start fit up. Grab a handful of clamps. I don't know how, but there's a slight crown in this steel. So I'm going to put the crown up. The other thing, it needs to be square. So I'm going to clamp everything in place, put tacks in, square things up as I go. Alright, so I got all the pieces tentatively in place. Side rails are good, nothing's welded, nothing's tacked. And I saw this when I was taking it apart initially. There's a little bit of a dip right here in that piece of angle iron going back and forth. And it's hard to see exactly on the camera how far it's off, but just for reference, that's how far we're off. You know, about 3/4 of an inch or so. That side's flush, and this side is not. And that's because this piece is bent down. You can see it kind of buckled a little bit right in here. So we're gonna try something a little sketchy. I mean, it is pretty thin. I'd say maybe 3/16, 2" by 3/16 angle irons. It's not the strongest stuff in the world. And he used 1/2 inch, whoever built this, used a 1/2 inch chunk of angle up top. That's obviously not going anywhere. And I could probably just, you know, put a pry bar in here like that and lift it a little bit, but I'm gonna try this. I got a 20-ton hydraulic bottle jack under here, stretched for, you know, with chain to chain going to the 2 end pieces. And we're gonna see if we can't get this part to level out. I'll probably jack it up until it gets just above it and then let off the pressure and see if it steadies out there. Might be a little sketchy, but should work. Kind of interested to see exactly how good this works. That's an old school 20-ton, way beefier than these newer ones that you get from Harbor Freight. Myself. Feels pretty steady. It's flush right now. Go a little bit past it. Let's see if it looks straight. Oh yeah. It's actually got a little bow up now. That'll come out once I let the pressure off. About 1/4 inch above, a little more. A little pressure off here so that happens. Might keep the pressure on here. Well, I check it. All right, I just couldn't take it. The subframe here, so the subframe, I'm calling that this piece on top of the main frame. Subframe was not centered, and I hate that. Should be symmetrical. So after thinking about it, everything that attaches the dump bed is on the subframe. So if I cut the subframe loose and scoot the whole thing over, the pivot points, the actual cylinder, the scissor part, all of that connects to the subframe. So by scooting it over, it'll center everything up. And cleaned everything up, it's just ready for welding now. So the next hour is going to be spent welding, and then hopefully I can get some paint on it and get the axle under it and wheel it out of here. So I'll come back when all that's done. All right, lots of welding the last couple of hours. Poor 140 weld pack here. Pushed her to her limit. She kept shutting down on me. Had to wait, but I'm all right with all this. The underside I'm very embarrassed of. I couldn't do it with the MIG welder. I just suck at overhead. I got up the stick welder, and this bar right here, I kept blowing through it. It's pathetic. But honestly, I think overall, between all of that down in there and these top welds, I don't think it's going anywhere. I mean, the bulk of the weight's going to be held center mass. That's more for the pulling portion of it. Sure, there's going to be some torsion right in this area, not a lot, but I'm pretty confident. It's definitely better than it was. Okay, now 7:30 p.m. Getting tired of working on this for today, but I got 30 minutes. Can throw 2 coats on here. I love this self-etching primer. Let's see, maybe that's better. Self-etching primer, Rust-Oleum, specifically for steel. It's fantastic. And then I'm gonna throw a coat of truck bed liner on this. I'm not too awfully concerned. It's 1/8 inch steel. It's way better than it was. The frame rails are 1/8 inch steel. The rest of it, these crossbars I used, I think are 3/16. Nope, 1/4 inch by 3 inch angle iron. And then the rest of it's stock still, or at least not stock, but the way it was. And I'm probably gonna dink around. I might replace this pin right here. If you can see that, it's got a wee bit of a tweak to it. The other pins got some pretty hard wear on them. And that huge divot right there, that wear mark. Other side's not quite as bad, but I probably got some rod laying around here, some bar stock that I could tack something up, because that's really bad there. It's hard to see just how bad it actually is, but and then I got to tinker with the actual motor. It clicks. That's it. Battery's fully charged, but that's something I'll tinker with, the toy with later. All right, y'all have a great night. I'll finish this video up later. Primer's on and the paint's on. Wow, so after probably 50 hours of work, she's out of the barn finally. All new steel. Frames, the shackles are all tacked or welded in. It's all right and tight, square, true. Cleaned up a few grounds on the pump. Put an extra screw in here, grounding screw, and then just a few love taps. Got the pump working. Let's see if she actually, yeah, still takes a few love taps. The rest of it went together right. I've already got a different tire to put in here because this is a different size than that size. And now we are getting ready to throw the dump bed in. Lady H has been helping me for the last hour, and probably gonna, actually all morning, probably gonna need her help to get the rigging back together, the pins back in, which this pin right here, if you remember earlier I showed you, was bent way out. I actually had to cut it, and then I just welded up a whole new pin with some 1-inch bar stock, drilled a hole for a new roll pin, and greased her up. So I think it's ready for assembly. Had to fix the jack here. One screw is completely broken off, or one bolt was broken off completely. This bolt here wasn't holding anything. It was held in by one little 5/16 bolt. I'm not sure how it did it, but surprised a lot of things on this. And we'll be back in a few when the dump bed's on. All right, she is back together. Pump's working, lift works. Everything fits together very nicely. A little bit of a bugger getting these hinge bolts back here. Outside of that though, seems to all be in great shape. Looks like we got a little bit of a hydraulic leak here. I don't know what from, but I'll look at that here later. But the actual build part is over. Fantastic. Just gonna grease up them hinge points in there, those hinge pins, and we will be done. Hey, thanks for watching. You got any questions or comments, please throw it down in the comment section. Please like, subscribe, share. Hope you enjoy. Good luck with your project.